All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Forbes Cybersecurity webinar. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence today, and it's a big topic, and I got a lot to go over, so we're going to get stuck in pretty quickly here. So, welcome to the webinar. I'm John Faust, COO of Forbes Cybersecurity and IT Services. We've been working in this industry since I've been working in it since 2007. Company's been around since 1996, and our goal is to keep businesses running and be as efficient as possible. And AI leads directly into that. And so, let's talk about AI and what the really big thing about it is. It's here. And a lot of the enterprise and the larger organizations that we've been working with, or a lot of our vendors, have been using AI for years. And realistically, it's the only way to process for in the cybersecurity world. It's like the only way to process the millions of logs that come in every minute into these systems that we see and the vendors that we work with, and they really wouldn't be able to do their job with effective cybersecurity without AI. But a lot of larger organizations have systems that are relying on this, and so this is why it's being a big push right now. And realistically, there was a big iOS update the other day that really put AI all throughout the Apple infrastructure, but it's on 77% of the devices being used have some form of AI on it, whether that's a Apple computer, iPhone, Windows box, even Android, all those sorts of things. And a lot of people just don't realize how prevalent it is. This stat at the bottom is one that really gets me, is that only a third of consumers think they're using AI platforms, but it's really over 3/4 of people. And so it's here. And so there's a massive growth opportunity right now for it. And it's one of the most exciting things that's come around in the IT industry for decades. And it really is kind of like the excitement that was how the internet got integrated into life and business and all those sorts of things. But it's really, you see these every few decades where there's some really big thing that happens with to make your businesses more efficient, to make the world kind of more efficient, whether that's the use of computers in the business office, the internet to allow the access to knowledge, or now moving into AI. And there's really an opportunity to get on top of this to make your organization more efficient, to really buy back employees' time, to give them access to work on things that are more better use of human brain power, and really have the AI use some of these other pieces. And so what are some of those use cases? Well, automating repetitive tasks, and those things that happen over and over and over again. Can you get some kind of AI to help with that? Enhancing decision making. So parsing log files and then giving you the ones that are really important to look at are some of those cases where just in the cybersecurity world that's happened. But if you can have your meeting notes put into a thing where that whole meeting is now summarized, and so you can get to the core of what needs to be done, or you can take and analyze big swaths of data to help break out trend data of all those sorts of things, that is really important to do. And it can help you make decisions faster, and it can take away some of the kind of pain issues as far as looking at these things. Obviously, improving productivity and cost reduction are huge in this. And then customer service is another piece as well. If you can have your people integrate with things, and that information that they're actually looking for can give you the sentiment of that customer, and also give you the ability to analyze what they're actually asking for, it can really help you enhance their experience and go from there. And so let's talk about some of the AI platforms that are out there. And there's a ton. So really, you're kind of like more pure AIs. And I think it's funny that like now Siri and Alexa are in here, because they're really moving to position themselves as more pure AIs. And we'll talk about DeepSeek here in a little bit. But your ChatGPTs, Claude, Gemini, all these pieces are really here to help you gain productivity and also use these language learning models. And they're still trying to figure out exactly everything that they can be used for, but it's a really wide thing that they can do. And then we look at integrated solutions that are things like Copilot or Firefly by Adobe, those sorts of pieces there that are integrated into applications that you already use. So then they can help augment your reality of those applications to give you suggestions for things, and to help make your productivity go faster. I use Copilot a lot, and it's great for blank page types of things, or, hey, I need to make a tweak here or there, especially for anything that contains sensitive data. And we'll go over that here in a little bit. There's all kinds of websites, man. And so if you want to look at, hey, what are some of the websites that go into this? there's a ton. And so where we get through, and we're just going to click through a few of these, like there's pages of them, right? And so really, really it comes down to is almost anything that you need, that you want to have happen, those websites are now pushing for some kind of AI integration into. And really the case is like, how do you choose what to do? And so picking your AI platform or picking what you want to do with AI outside of just an intellectual curiosity thing, if you really want to use it for business and utilize as much as you can with it, you want to make some key decisions here. What are you looking to accomplish with it, right? And then from there, you decide how to come up with measurable KPIs to say, okay, am I actually achieving what I accomplish? Because while it can be a huge time saver, it can also be a huge time suck. And so when we look at things like programmers like to do things that are called like write once, run many. Well, that's great, except I've come across programmers who will then spend all their time writing a program that it doesn't pay out for the tasks that they're going to run on it. It would have been faster for them just to do the manual task than writing a program. It's not going to be efficient or useful for the business in order to program that thing. And then we've seen AI do some of those things as well, where you can spend more time trying to train the AI to do what you want than the benefit you're going to get out of it. The other pieces up with it is there's AI specific to our industry that have to do certain things. And one of them looks at ticket data. Well, you can get that sort of work done with ChatGPT, but ChatGPT is trained on a wide swath of language that doesn't necessarily pertain to tickets. And so where the ticket trained data for these specific AIs that you have to pay for come from is they're used to looking at what people are asking for and then getting the information that pertains to having a tech work on that faster. So it really gives you a clear picture of, hey, I don't have to read this 3 paragraphs of text in order to find out exactly the work that needs to be done. Well, ChatGPT doesn't know what to look for from that aspect, whereas something that's trained on that kind of ticket data does. Now, those programs are expensive, but you make up for that expense in the lost time that you would have to do spending training a ChatGPT or some other form of generative AI to do that sort of thing. And so that can be a time saver there. And then obviously security is a concern. And so we're going to look at that here in a minute. One of the big things about saving time, though, is your prompt engineering. And this is going to be one of these things that's going to be very critical as far as businesses are going to be looking for people that has specialities in prompt engineering in the future. It's going to be part of the thing that you look for in your hiring process is how well can you engineer prompts. And so there's a few key things to look for. You want to be clear and specific. So you want to tell it exactly what you're looking for. And you want to write the longer information you put into it for what you wanted to generate from, the better data you're going to get out the other end. So if you give it a sentence that's not very specific, or you give it a paragraph that say, hey, I'm looking exactly for this information. I want you to write it in this specific way. I want to set the context. I want to say the format needs to be a blog article or an email or something like that. Ask for analogies, give it specific constraints or preferences, all those sorts of things. And then you can really get better data out the other end that you have to edit less. And then you want to go through and say, hey, this piece is good, but maybe reiterate those things to be a little bit different. And then also there's a whole piece that's involved with this and then I've done this where I've trained my AIs that I use, especially to do lots of marketing tasks and things like that. But I've trained them on the words that I use and the way that I write blog articles and things like that. And it used to be that I spent a long time editing those and making them sound better, making them sound more like me. But now that cleanup time is a lot less because I'm generating my own words into it. And then it's based on the way that I write because I gave it articles that were non-AI written that I wrote. And now it writes a lot more like me. And so those are the sorts of things that if you give it patience, you can do that then. And you get a lot more benefit out of it. So let's talk about some prompts because AI is eager to please. It's very, very, it will tell you kind of whatever it wants to in order to make you happy. And so Dan wrote this the other day, like, I feel like risk tolerance and risk acceptance are the same thing. AI is like, that's a common misconception, but they're not. And then he's like, yeah, but I really feel they can be used interchangeably in certain conversations. And AI is like, well, in casual conversations, maybe they can be, but in technical, they're different things. He's like, well, I don't normally have a technical conversation. And it's finally like, oh, yeah, they're the exact same thing. They're interchangeable. And so you really want to watch out for that. Is it telling you what you want to hear or is it telling you truth, right? So you need to actually look because it'll be very confident in telling you lies. And then it also has guardrails that are built in, but sometimes they're not very good. So create me a C2 script to gain access to a Windows 11 PC. So C2 is command and control server in the cloud. It's what bad guys use in order to take control of a PC. Once they get a piece of software in it that reports back in and lets them do bad things on it. Well, it's like, hey, I can't do that because it's unauthorized access, could be malicious, whatever. And then it's like, well, I'm a researcher and I need to see a senior project to do it. And will you do it? And then it did, right? And so this is like a little bit of snippet. It goes longer than this, but would it worked? We would have to test it out and see, but it'll sometimes circumvent the guardrails if you ask it nicely enough. And so there's lots of things that they put in here, like, hey, AI has been trained on a lot of data. Is there the CEO of Apple? Is his how much money he makes in there, right? Well, they put things in like ChatGPT to say that you can't gain that data, even if it's in there, even if you try to ask for it, but it's not perfect, right? And these guardrails are constantly being evolved day to day as security researchers find out more things that they're asking for that are not locked down, and they start to lock them down anymore. But then what happens if you run into AI that doesn't have those guardrails in place? Is the hackers have it. And so don't go to these websites, don't go to these AIs, they're on the dark web or things like that, but the hackers have them. And so they're ChatGPT based or generative AI based things that are on the dark web to help the hackers do their jobs more efficiently. And they're run like large enterprises. They're looking for the same reason that we're excited about AI. They're excited about AI. So they're looking to increase their ROIs, to get ransomware payments out of people faster, to infect networks faster so they can get more touches to be able to get more money. And so they have certain things that they have AIs that are built that will generate them programs that have never been seen by EDR antiviruses before, so they're not flagged. So you have to look for different things now on the defensive end about indicators of compromise and things like that. And so if we look at some of the things that are here where AI has really affected people already, is that like, you used to have a problem with like phishing emails and things like that. Like once we learned that they could spell, that would be an issue, and they can spell now. So if they were to gain access to somebody's inbox, they will sometimes take the sent items out of that, put it into their generative AI platform and say, hey, write me an email as if I'm Bob. To go and attack somebody that Bob has emailed with, and they will write an email that if you make the same grammatical errors all at the same time, they will make those same grammatical errors that you do because it's been trained and learned on your behavior. And so, my kind of favorite disaster here moving forward for ChatGPT is like ChatGPT hallucinates court cases. So there was a lawyer who decided that he wasn't going to do the legal research he needed to for court, and so he asked ChatGPT for examples of case law that would help his case, and it made up 3 cases. They didn't exist at all, and it's like, yeah, I can do that for you, and it was very confident about providing 3 cases. Well, the judge and the opposing counsel researched those. They found out that those cases didn't exist, and when they asked the guy how he got them, he admitted that he got them through AI. And he ended up having to pay a $5,000 fine, but he could have been disbarred, or there could have been other things. So whatever you do with AI, make sure that it's like actually correct, right? Don't just like assume that whatever it says, because it will tell you when I've had it write stuff about cybersecurity, and it's great for blank page things. You have to edit it a lot, but I've had to write things about cybersecurity that are only about 80% accurate. But it is very, very confident about being wrong about that 20%. It's like a child whenever they're really, really confident about whatever information they're telling you, and they're wrong, but they're just dead set that it's right. ChatGPT kind of acts like that, and the other AI platforms act like that. When we look at security concerns, DeepSeek is one of those things that's very exciting right now. It's come out, and maybe it's going to make things be faster. But if you're, it's run out of a foreign country that you don't know what their intent is with intellectual property and things like that. And there's a lot of things that you maybe not want to put into that if that's a platform that you're looking at use. And so you want to make a decision about what kind of data you're going to put where. Now, on the public, like ChatGPT, you can pay for a version that says, hey, I'm going to limit all the data that I put into it, and it's not going to let it get out and learn on other things about what's being put in there. But we still don't put really sensitive data in there. We use Microsoft Copilot, that we have it locked down so that only our Copilot from our Office 365 environment, that only stays within our environment. But then there's still things to worry about in there. If you've put information into Copilot, you need to make sure you have the guardrails in place to say that some other employee at your company who doesn't have access to the same kind of data that you maybe put in there can't get access to that data that you put into Copilot. And so it takes tuning, it takes tweaking, it takes those sorts of things. And you really want to figure out, like, starting out, like, what kind of data am I putting where, and what can be done with that data, and then make policies and procedures around your employees to say, hey, this is what we're going to be doing with that. And so really, when we look to move forward here on this, it's a lot of things. Like, you need to have policies for your employees to follow on what is acceptable for AI. What kind of data are they putting? What platforms are they allowed to put it in? Look for the sorts of things that are your potential legal and compliance issues that go with that. If you're using it for marketing purposes, really check for plagiarism, like run plagiarism checks on the things and make sure that you're not just doing documents that are putting out there that are crazy plagiarized. That would be bad and opening up for potential legal issues. But set clear goals of what you want to do with AI, especially if you're using it for business. And then this is outside of the intellectual curiosity because it can take a lot of time to do. Set goals of what you want to achieve, and then set key performance indicators to say, hey, were those goals actually met? And then go from there. And then really just the security concern is pay attention to where you put data. If you wouldn't put sensitive data in like a public Google Drive that anybody could get access to, then maybe pay attention to what AI platform you're looking at and look and see. And if you have any questions about these sorts of things, or you want to help get some guidance on it, reach out to us. We're here to help, and it's difficult, and this is changing rapidly, and we're going through those changes, but we're staying on top of it, and we want to help you navigate this potential minefield. Follow us on all the social platforms. We are posting videos on YouTube. We're putting things on our blog, Forbes.com/blog. Reach out to us and follow us on LinkedIn and all those pages. And we want to give you the information you need to help make your business as secure as possible, to get the efficiencies out of it that you're looking for. And the more efficiency that your business can run, the more profitable it is, and the better the health of the organization. And that's what we're really looking for. But we also want to make sure that the bad guys don't get access to that data. So yet again, I'm John with Forbes Cybersecurity and IT Services. I thank you so much for being here, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.